In this section, let's talk about vegetation mask areas and lines. This is a fairly simple concept, so let's just jump right into Unity so I can show you this. So we have, in this case, we have our biome mask, and right now it's pretty small. And let me just give you a kind of a little hint here. I'm going to go and I'm going to hide my meshes. So let me just disable those so I can see my terrain here. All right, and my terrain has this overlay image that allows me to see kind of like where my trees and stuff are. So this is hole one, and I can see it got this kind of area here. Let me back up just a tad more. I got this area here where I'm going to put this biome mask that I'm working on. So this hole one biome, you can see right now it's just up in this little area, but I really want it. Let me just hide it here. I want it to cover kind of down through here and all the way this hole and then back up and then across the road and up. Um, so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to pause while I do it because this is going to take a little bit of time. Let me turn this back on. I'm going to essentially just redrag this so that it is in this area. And you can see I'm starting it here, but I'm going to drag this whole thing out and resize it. And then when I'm done, I'll unpause and come back so you can see the result. All right, so let me show you my result here, which is I move this mask. You can see it kind of encompasses there. So let me turn it off first. So you can see it kind of comes up through here and across the road and down. Let me turn that back on. So I turn it on and off, and you can see maybe I could bring it down a little bit further here. And I could also use, if I wanted to, I could use my blend distance, maybe make it more or make it less. Make it just a tad more, and I can make these a little bigger. But the bottom line, you want to adjust this, and then you can zoom in, see where it's at, turn your meshes back on, right, and get an idea of kind of where things are at. And then you look at this and you're like, oh shoot, well that looks good. I want it, but oh man, I got it. That's my cart path. I got rocks and grasses and trees on my cart path. What am I going to do about that? Well, that's where vegetation mask lines and mask areas come into play. So let me just zoom out here again and going to show you a demo of this concept really quick. So if we come back in here, back up to our biome and masks, we go into our mask area or a mask folder here, and I can let's start with the mask area. If I just drag this on, it looks very similar to the biome mask that we did earlier. But if I start creating this area, look what happens. It just deletes any vegetation there. So this is a really easy way of just, creating an area that I do not want to plant vegetation on. And you can come over here and it's pretty much self-explanatory. I can say, hey, I do not want this thing to remove my grasses, or I do. And let's see, if I zoom in here, I should see my grasses. Yeah, there they are. You can kind of see them turning on and off. So I can say, I don't want to remove my grasses. So maybe you want to leave grasses, but you want to just remove the trees, but not the grasses. Same thing with like not remove my rocks, okay? But you get the idea. Very simple concept. It removes everything. That's not really what we want here. Really, we're more concerned about our cart path, which is this straight line, and manipulating this to fit on our cart path is going to be a real pain. So let's highlight this, delete it. Come back here and let's do a vegetation mask line. Let me just drop this right about there. And you can see, if I zoom in here, when I begin to add points to this, it's more of a straight thing, okay? And it's more like a line. Now I can adjust this, and I will in a second, but let me just start placing this here, and I can change I should be able to change the width. Where is it at? Right here. So width, let me change this to about a 4, because I think my cart path is 3 meters if I recall. And we can change that easily. But now what we can do is, you can see, if I come up here, now what I could do to make this easier to see, let me go back to my hole one biome. I'm just going to turn it off. Go back up to my mask line, and let me just start clicking here. And it's not perfect, so I can come back and I can change this and adjust it. I can drag those points. And I'm not going to show you. You get the idea here, which is I'm going to create a vegetation mask line on my entire cart path. where I do not want those trees and rocks planted, and I'm just going to do 2 more points, and then I'm going to show you this firsthand how it works. So let me go back to my biome. Let me do this. Let me first rename this guy. Hole 1 cart mask, call that, sure. And let me move it down here to my biome mass. So now it's underneath there. Let me go back to my hole 1 biome and turn it back on. And now if I fly around here, this should look pretty good, I would think. Oop, we got some clipping here. Remember that trick? Human, human, F, he's good now, delete him. And now you can see I got nothing planted on my cart path. Looks pretty clean. Oh, I must have missed a spot right here. What happened there? That's not cool. Cart mask, it's just too far over. So if I drag this over a little bit, there we go. It looks a little bit better. Still got some stuff up there though. Maybe I need to make this wider. If I just adjust it. And you see some places you might have to add additional points. Get the idea though, is that, depending on where this is, you might have to adjust it or even widen it a little bit. But now you can see that I have less and less, and as soon as I stopped it here, you can see how this stuff comes back. So you'd have to add this mask line, right? And you can use the same thing. Works really well on like water bodies. So let's say you have a water body in the middle of let's say if I were to put a biome all around this, I could, make sure that things aren't growing inside of my water body. So that's mask lines, very simple concept, and they definitely come in handy.